Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to this episode of the Note Closure Show. As always, Scott Carson jacked up. Today for you is a kind of a cool day here in Austin. We're going to see some freezing rain, maybe, but it's going to be a hot day here on next day or so when Texas plays and wins their playoff game. But we'll get to that later on. Yes, you guys know I'm an avid football fan about the investment that people put into it. But you guys also are out there. It's the first of the year. You've got some New Year's resolutions to invest more, to save more, don't know where to get started. Maybe what you've been put into the little piggy bank isn't working for you. Maybe shoving it in your mattress and then using it because you're using it to go buy things, or burying it in the backyard in your grandma's can of tomatoes isn't helping as well. So we want to focus on ways for you to put your money, start saving your money for retirement, and ways that you can use it to be buying real estate, to be buying notes. One of the most effective strategies for building and growing wealth out there, bar none. This is a must-have if you're an investor of any sort, is opening up your self-directed IRA. And I know we haven't had anybody on we've had a few folks on there, but I've been really excited to get this guy on. And it's been a struggle. I'm just giving him shit to get him on here. He is Kyle Moody. He is the business development guy over at American IRA, who do a tremendous job, great customer service. They're huge fans. I got a chance to hang out with him and his whole team at FinCon a while back, and just really jacked up. But we are honored to have Kyle on here today. What is going on, Kyle? How you doing, bud?
Hey man, thanks for the introduction of my delay in getting to you. And I would like to think that the delay would have been for some vacation time, enjoying the holidays. But really, no kidding, it has been since we met at FinCon. It's been how busy we've been since then. December was my busiest December of I think in all the years that I've been here, and so it was really just trying to schedule some time to make this happen. But I tell you, man, the bond we've already formed already, getting to talk some football, getting ready to talk some snow and everything else. It's definitely going to be something that you're going to start getting your own day of the month on my calendar. So we won't. It's going to be a lot easier for us to get together. So and yes, and we're appreciating you sending all the snow and ice that you're getting ready to send our way. It's supposed to hit us here. What they're saying is sometime tomorrow afternoon. So
Well, gotta love that January, early February. I don't count winter over till after Valentine's Day for the most part for us here, because
right, right.
Texas likes to freak out. We get a half inch of ice and everybody starts freaking out. That's why I work from home. But no, I know
Mhm.
you've been busy, complete just giving you shit a little bit here. But that's the great thing. I know that you guys have been so busy since FinCon, and it was such a great event. We did a whole series on interesting people you met at FinCon, and we're glad to have you on here. And
Yeah,
yeah, we pushed
absolutely.
off a little bit the first year because I think a lot of folks wait to the first of the year to really tackle most of their new goals for the year. They think about it, they get through the holidays, but when they start seeing things, they get those quarterly statements or they from the credit cards or see their investment statements going down, balances going down. They decide to do something, and that's why we're such big fans of self-directed IRAs. We've used IRAs. We've got a lot of our coaching students that are using IRAs to buy notes, buy real estate. They're leveraging other people's money in IRAs to create win-win with their financial friends. Um, let's talk a little bit about it. I know we'll get into more of it, but you guys have been around for a while, and you're doing a great
Yeah.
job in what you're doing. And I'm a big believer. You and I had that conversation, about not every IRA company is created equally, right? Um,
Correct.
and you guys, customer service is number one, and I've seen it from the very get-go since we met you guys. So why don't we talk a little about American IRA and where it come from? Because if you haven't heard about them, you definitely need to start paying attention to this company.
Really appreciate that. And one thing I'll tell you that you had touched on right before talking about the company itself is, you know, getting people started. I think our busy time has really been having a lot of conversations with folks, and yes, I think they were waiting till January to pull the trigger on some things. There was a big day that happened in early November. I think a lot of people were waiting to see which way. It can be political. I mean, your money can be
Yeah.
very political. And I think people were really waiting to see what was going to happen in November. And then there really has been a lull. I mean, I'm on the phone a lot. I talk to folks and not just in niche areas. I mean, all across the country, all walks of life. And people said, well, let's just see what it's going to kind of be like in January. And so you kind of get the after January 20th and everything. So then in between that, you got a couple, 3 holidays. You've got a lot of expenditures, kids coming home after maybe first semesters in college and everything. Everybody has something going on.
Right.
And on the sales end, not always the easiest part of it, but I hear it all. And after 8 years, at least in this realm, when I speak, when I give somebody answers on stuff, it's not me advising or giving any suggestions or opinions on anything, because I'm not permitted to do that. We're not fiduciaries. However, I'm really speaking what all the other investors thousands that I speak with every year. I'm basically regurgitating, what they got going on, and now how they're actually able to see, wow, I wish I would have gone ahead and done this sooner. Or I'm glad I'm with American IRA now. I wish I would have been with them first or started sooner with them. And that gives me some, a lead in to really talk about our company and what the biggest thing right now that I can say about American IRA. Yeah, we're probably one of the cheapest in the industry, and how we have our fee structure. We can, talk about numbers later if you want folks to hear that. But, quite honestly, Scott, there is 5 words that have summed up our success lately, especially in the past couple of years with folks, and that's: we pick up the phone. We pick up the phone. It is not a phone tree system. It is not a call center. It is our office. When people get a call from me, it's coming from my direct number, and if they don't have it on their caller ID, I give it to them. So they know that they can call me back. They know they can use that number to refer folks directly to me. They get my email address when they call into our office. They get Vivian on the phone, our receptionist, and people love Vivian. Okay, and they kind of get offended sometimes if they don't get to talk to Vivian on the phone, and we say, well, she's at lunch, or we had to unlatch her from her chair and let her go on vacation. But if she's not there, somebody else picks up the phone. The customer service, the customer comes first. That's just the way it is. Appreciate you saying that. You've actually had some of your students that have come through, and they've already reported back to you good stuff. So that's always great for us to hear. And to be able to share to everybody. But I'm going to just pop out some things right here that'll show you really quick a little bit about the company. And yeah, so American IRA is now, one of the first things you heard me say a second ago is that we are not advisors. We're not fiduciaries. If you feel with any company that you've ever spoken with that you have felt advised after you get off of a phone call, quite honestly, you're not supposed to feel that way. Though we do not answer questions until somebody is 110% on lock with it, you are going to get educated on things that maybe not always what you want to hear, but what you really need to know when you're going to be using your hard-earned retirement dollars. We are headquartered in Asheville, North Carolina. I am remote. I'm a couple hours east of that in the Triad of North Carolina, back here in my hometown, but I was actually in the Asheville area for 20 some years, back and forth to the office every couple of weeks. And they're actually going to get hit with the white stuff a lot more, being in the mountains there than we are here in the Triad. But anyway, American IRA, we were founded 20 years ago by Jim Hitt, who is our founder and CEO, and he is still reachable. And I love being able to text and call him daily if I need to. He's been a great mentor, and who has taught me just about everything I know in the business. And when you have just a wizard mind that he has to be able to form this company, because it was, again, all about the clients and how he could share his knowledge with a low fee base that's actually never changed, and then build his staff around that same mantra. It's great to be around now on our 20th year. Uh, we were sad we couldn't celebrate and toast the raise the glasses and toast the champagne on the 20th year, because that is actually when Hurricane Helene hit our office and hit the Asheville area, and so we were out for about a week and a half on that one, but got everybody back to work and never really missed a beat with our clientele, and we're pretty happy about that. Another thing about us that sets us apart: no annual fees on cash only IRAs, and what that really means is that when you open up your account with American IRA, until your first movement of funds, or until we start holding an asset that you might be transferring in from another company. If it's a cash only IRA and you're a brand new client, you might not do anything with that thing for a couple of months. But that first movement of money, that's when we'd assess your annual fee, and those fees are flat. So whether you choose our flex plan or whether you decide to go with an unlimited plan that really fits your level of activity of what you're going to be doing with your account, either way, you'll notice that if you bring in 5 figures and you grow it to 7 figures, guess what? It is still just that low fee you had when you came in the door, whether it was a few months or a few years before. And we're really happy about that. You can hold unlimited cash and assets at no extra cost. You'll find
Nice.
companies out there that will do percentage based. I had 2 calls today. They asked me that, hey, do you guys do a percentage based? Do you do quarterly? Do you do AUM or assets under management? And quite frankly, I tell folks, look, if I got to start, breaking out a calculator to figure out what my fees are going to be, they're going to be expensive, right?
Yep.
So with us, there's you can have as much cash as you want in that account. You can have as many assets as you want, and those assets, may outweigh that cash after a while to put you into the millions, and it's not going to cost you a dime more. And we're really happy about that. With the meetings or the conferences that we met you at FinCon, and a lot of the conferences across the country that we attend, and then also a lot of our regional RIAs. If a lot of your group has probably heard of those, the Real Estate Investors Associations. We hit a lot of those, and I'm actually on the board of one now here in my triad area, and I'm really proud of that. Jim was actually, our founder was actually the original president of a RIA group in Asheville when it started. Gosh, it was at least 20 years ago. We've already talked about this: no phone trees or call centers. It is people in the office. And what we really like to give folks, we just call it what it is. It's that small town bank feel. So that though we're just under $1 billion in assets, north of probably 7,000 clients across the country, it does not make us big enough where we don't know who you are when you're calling in. And it doesn't mean that when you call in that you're not going to have any idea who you're speaking with. Everybody's together in the office. It's one big team. One team, one goal, and that's the clients. And so you're going to know who your transaction specialist is that you need to ask for when you're calling in and working your deal. We actually do have the checkbook IRAs. I always say that's the kind of the street term of them, but it is an IRA-owned LLC where your IRA is the single member to that LLC. We have a sister in-house affiliate company that can put those together for you for less than usually what attorneys are going to do it. So we're proud of that. That's yet another company that we own. And then you also see there the assets that we have under custody. A little bit about me, if we've got another hour and a half to go.
We're good. We got some time. We got some time. Yes, sir.
Good. Yeah, this is actually my I'm going into my 8th year here. I knew of American IRA because I managed on the property management end. I ran a property management company for a larger umbrella team, but I where they were out of the triad, I ran their office in Asheville, and that's actually how I got to know of self-directed IRAs. I mean, because it was new to me. And Jim, our CEO, he came to me as actually one of my clients at the time, and he was recruiting me for a couple of years, and I was like, no, I can't do it until one time I was like, oh, all right, I'll come take a look at your new office, which was just literally right around the corner. I could walk to his office, which was funny. But anyway, started after graduate school. I was in Washington D.C. in the financial services industry for about 4 years. Came back to North Carolina. I knew I wanted to get back to the great state here, and that's where I had gotten into had been a director of a department, a couple of departments in the county government. But then when I wanted to go ahead and get into more something private, that's where I started my real estate career. I did real estate, residential and commercial sales. Also did that in the project, or excuse me, the property management arena as well, and that has all led to where we are now. So still keep. It's funny, we were talking about this the other day. I still keep my license up. I was with a group of brand new licensees the other day, and they were like, "Holy cow! What is the deal with the exam in North Carolina?" I said, "Well, it's a good way to weed folks out." But it's actually known around the union to be one of the hardest tests there are, and that's why we pay that 40 or $45 every year, because nobody wants to take that test again. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about the company.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's always nice when you talk to somebody who's got the real estate experience, the background, can speak the language of
Mhm.
a lot of folks. There's people we've talked to before that, they didn't understand a note deal, or they didn't understand the investment aspect of it. Then it's like kind of trying to describe a deal, but you're one's talking English, the other one's talking Latin. They don't know the intricacies of what's going
Right.
on with the deal. And that's always good to have that. And then obviously, a lot of folks, I think that I heard the last number was that about 40% of self-directed IRA accounts are sitting in cash, not making anything. They're just sitting there.
Mhm.
And people are losing money each month on the quarterly fees, so the assets under management fees and stuff like that, that really shrinks their portfolio. So kudos to you guys for those couple things right there alone to help investors out.
I think one of the things too, not really, I appreciate that. I think one of the things too that we do is that, I like to educate. I mean, that's why we're here, right? I believe educate first, and then the business is going to follow, if you do it the right way. Um, but I think on the education level, very rarely do I see folks, at least folks that I bring in as my clients, I don't see them just sitting around and waiting. They're using their accounts. I mean, we really see a lot of activity with our clientele. I'll be out at meetings and they'll stop me and they'll say, "Hey man, did you see the cool thing that I did with my account?" I'm like, "Well, unfortunately, that's the difference in the sales and the operations side, is that I'm in my lane, working at doing what I'm doing. I don't get to see what all the folks in the transactions department see." And I tell you, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, there are things that I can give you a good working knowledge to carry on the conversations of stuff, because there's so much of them.
Mhm.
I'm fielding so much stuff, but that transactions team, man, when they are locked in and they're working the files or whatever, the intricacies of that, really the different levels of it, I can't say enough about our transactions team and the compliance team, and the things that they really help. There's some that are a breeze. There's some that are very, very, it's an onion. It's layered so much,
Mhm.
and they knock it out. And so that's whenever our staff gets to see this, I always tell them, "Hey, look, guys, I talk about you. I really do." And yeah, here's proof, because they really do. They're amazing. Our staff, from me and the getting folks in the front door, all the way through when someone is getting their funds moved to make their investments. I mean, it can't be a better place to represent.
Well, that's good too, because you mentioned the staff understanding things. There's nothing more frustrating when you're trying to get a deal closed within 7 days or 14 days or soon, and you're dealing with a different individual that has no idea what's going on. They're looking at a call sheet and notes from taking in on the thing. They have no idea about the deal. I can't tell you how many times we've helped people try to get deals closed, and we're talking to a different person. Got to resend in the documents. Got to retell them what the whole story is, because something didn't get done in a timely fashion. Then you can't ever find the right individual, and that's what I love about you guys. Like a small town bank, who doesn't like their
Yeah,
small town bank feel?
exactly.
You want to go where everybody knows your name too. That kind of.
I mean, it's almost a mix between the bank and Cheers. I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody like Norm walks in the door, they're going to feel like Norm walking in the door. I'm telling you.
Right. Well, then also too, what I like too is that you guys also have that checkbook IRA access and
Hmm.
understanding that
Yep,
not a lot of
it's
IRA
huge.
companies want to mess around with that. They want to
Hmm.
try to keep it one way or another. So embracing that is a good thing, because that does make it a lot easier for a lot of folks to close and stuff. Just making sure that the investment is an approved investment and they're not commingling personal stuff with the IRA in a lot of cases.
Right, exactly, exactly. Yeah, folks, they won't really understand. They don't know, because a lot of folks are coming to us and they're brand new, but they may not know that we're offering that LLC option. And so that is one thing that now I'll tell you this, I don't bring it up unless they bring it up to me, because if they are totally green to a self-directed IRA, I am not going to muddy the waters
Correct.
in talking about the LLC. And there are folks, and look, I came from a lifetime in the car business. I mean, my dad, 82 years old, still in the car business, no kidding. Every day with all of his, guys that started doing this, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And so there's a certain type of sales level on things. Well, things are different when you get to what I do. I'm not your money manager. I'm, again, not being the fiduciary. Call me the worst salesman on the face of the planet, but I'm not going to close you on something just to get a number. Self-directed IRAs are not for everyone. And if I feel that, I'll let them know, look, it's okay to go ahead and go to a credit union or a bank, get that Roth or get that, IRA built up for a few years, and then come to me, or go to some of these, places where you truly understand that your money, if you're not working it, it's not going to grow with a self-directed account. If you want to learn about it, I will totally educate you on that. You can watch programs like this, and you'll be able to get that knowledge up to where it's truly going to work for you. But as long as I know that somebody is educated, now if they bring up the LLC and they want to go that route, then we're gonna talk about it, and then I've got to make sure they understand specifically how it works, the flow. You got to have the IRA put together before you get the LLC created. You can't get the cart before the horse. If I've already set up my LLC, great, use that one for something else, because it's not going to be able to be used in your IRA. So, just making sure that there's understanding on that. And along with the LLCs is also the solo 401ks. People forget that we have that in our name. American IRA, so self-directed IRAs and solo 401ks. And so those two things are just as important as the IRA, the LLC, and the solo K.
Totally correct. An IRA LLC is not necessary for a lot of deals. There's a lot more, not so I'll say a lot more, but more bookkeeping, more things to be careful about. Speaking of the different accounts that you have, I don't know if you see. Yeah, there we go. We should be good here.
Oh,
You
look
see
at
the
that.
screen?
How about
Yeah,
that?
look at that. The nice little flyer, you guys. But let's talk about some of the different contribution limiting amounts. Let's see here. I'm trying to get to page 2 on this thing. Here's this just page 1. Well, I guess there's just one page on this.
Yeah,
But
this does look familiar. Yeah, this is this one's got some fun stuff on it for this year.
yeah, so let's dive into it, because the contribution amounts have gone up a little bit, which has been good, giving people an opportunity to sock more away in their IRA and other accounts. Let's just talk with the smallest amount. ESAs, educational savings accounts, educational IRAs. What's the amount that people can put into that in 2025?
What? Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about on this, is that there's a lot of things that have not changed. The smaller accounts, those the covered L's, as you'll hear those, you'll be able to hop on and see the changes on that. Some of the things that we have on here are really the things that people are using all the time, both
Yep.
the traditional and the Roth, which, believe it or not, there's no change on those this year. It's still going to be 7,000 for anybody 49 and under, and then you still get the $1,000 catch up if you are 50 and older. The really cool thing that we saw this year, and I was like, wow, did I read that right? And I really wanted to make sure that, really before we put this out, I was like, are you kidding me? That's interesting, because, as if these numbers aren't confusing enough, or if you try to go to the IRS website and read it, well, there's something that, if you're having trouble sleeping at night, just read that code, right? A couple paragraphs and then it's crickets. But the 401k plans, that is really interesting this year. So, it has increased for anyone, under 50, has gone up just $500. So it's gone from, 23,000 to 23,500. And if you don't know what we're talking about yet, I'm going to go ahead and lay this out to you, because there are some folks that are probably going to be listening to Scott, that you're going to be the entrepreneurs. You may have already quit your 9 to 5, and when you had your 9 to 5, if you had a 401k that you were contributing to there, then the man was also kicking in the match if you had that chosen, right? Well, imagine there's no more man. All right, you are it. You are the man. or the woman. And so it is now totally up to you. You got your entrepreneurial business going, and now you're starting to make some flow that's coming in. But hey, you don't have a 401k plan, right? So just like the insurance, you're putting all this stuff together, right? So the solo 401k plan is actually the most powerful retirement vehicle out there. Much higher contribution limits. I mean, when you hear me talk about it going from 23,000 to 23.5 for anyone that's under 50, that's only your employee contribution. Okay. You're also the employer. We'll get to that in a second. But jumping into the employee contribution, what that looks like is this. Again, talking about how the IRS has it laid out. When you read it, here's really how it summarizes. 100% of the first $23,500 you make, you're able to put away as your contribution into your solo 401k employee bucket. Okay. Now, the great thing about a solo 401k as well is that it has a built-in Roth component to it. So you can either convert when you get those traditional funds in, or you can actually contribute both Roth and traditional funds. And you'll just let our office know how you're going to be doing that when that happens. Now, for anyone, now this is where some of the differences are going to take place. Anyone who is 50 and older has a $7,500 catch up that they can put away. Okay. So now 100% of the first $31,000 that they make can go in that employee bucket. And again, traditional Roth, that's going to be between you and your CPA and whatever you want to do. Remember, we will never tell you what to do or how much to do or what that's going to look like or the tax implications on anything. We're just putting the money where you direct us to put it. Where it gets creative now is that if you see in there what's called that super catch up. Now, it doesn't mean for folks that are everybody over 59 or 59 and a half, because I'll get that call. Hey, Kyle, the 59 and a half rule. No, there's not a 59 and a half rule. But anyone 60, 61, 62, and 63 is able to, their catch up now is $11,250. So I didn't do the math on that. So whatever the 23.5 is plus the what is that going to be about 35,000?
35,000. Yep,
Yeah,
right at
yeah,
35.
35,000 that you can do, and so that's what you're going to do. I guess you get the 64, and then it goes back down to the 7,500. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I was in a tax thing as well where somebody was presenting this, and they had some other ways to look at it, but this is the one we're sticking with here, is that you've got the catch up and the super catch up. Now, remember, again, that's just for the employees. And then there's the second half of that. Well, what is it, Kyle? There's a couple of ways to look at this. For any of you, they're going to be sole proprietors, LLCs. If that's the way you're filing, okay, then you're going to be able to match. Now, here it comes in the match, like what you would have had with a 9 to 5. Remember, you're doing it. You're both now. So that's going to be a 20% of your net earnings. All right, is how you're going to be able to do that match. If you are an S corp, then you're going to be able to do 25% of your gross. Okay, so you'll never hear me give what that actual dollar amount is on that back end, because that can change at any time. And I never want to say, well, Kyle said I could do. Now, you'll never hear Kyle said. It is just as you're going to have the totals as they're put together is what you're able to make as your contributions. Anything on that left side right there, I will tell you, that can really get broken down, and that is in the IRS code. We put that out there for folks. You're not going to want to call and ask us about these RMD ages. That really is going to be something that if that breakdown of that age and what that chart looks like there, if it's a concern to you, we never get asked those questions. But we want to put it out there for once in a while. We'll get that question, but that is going to be something that you're going to have with your tax professional on exactly what that RMD is going to look like. Hey, if you're still like my dad at 82 and still working, making the taxable income, being able to make the contributions, oh, by the way, taking distributions as well, you're going to want to make sure that you've got your tax professional that is getting that all squared away for you.
So good. Such great stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can sock away quite a bit depending on your structured LLC, S Corps on top of that solo 401k stuff. But it's always good, you guys, to pick up the phone and call and talk to somebody if it's the right type of tool for you. Great for solo entrepreneurs, but if you've got employees, if you've got staff there, is a solo 401k a good thing or a bad thing? If you've got employees along, because don't you have to have, if you've got staff, you also have to offer that to them too? Is that correct or no?
Well, actually, when it comes to the solo 401k, depending on the staff, it could be a non-thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So solo 401ks, you got to meet really two main criteria to see if you can do it. You got to have your own company.
Yep.
Okay. You can't have any full-time employees. All right. There's some exemptions to this. If it's you and a spouse, if he or she is helping with the business, makes a little bit of coin on that, it doesn't count. Or if they're a partner, they're exempt for that. They can also have their own solo 401ks, and then you take those big dollar amounts and double that if the math works out. I mean, if it makes the sense that you're making, the two high two plus or three plus, then somebody's maxing that thing out, double that, right? I mean, I think it's now what, like the 76 range or something
Yep.
like that. And again, how you'll see, I'll never give that total number because we want people to make sure that they're getting that total number squared away each year. And usually, you do see folks saying, "Hey, yeah, end of the year, going into that Q1, I want to make sure that I'm talking to my CPA about this." Now, if you do have employees, if they are part time, garnering less than 1,000 hours a year, then you can still qualify for the solo 401k. If it's not your spouse, if it's a highly compensated employee or a partner, then you can still qualify for that. Again, always still bounce it off your tax pro. If there is something out there, there's other plans, and I'll just give you those names really quick, that if you do have full-time employees, depending on the size of your company and you want it to kind of you don't want it to break the bank on what you're offering, because if you have a SEP plan, okay, the SEP plan is something that you can offer, but really whatever you're giving to yourself or contributing to yourself, you're also allowing that same amount to your employees. So again, depending on if you've got a company that's really killing, it may make sense for you. I came off of a simple plan when I was doing property management. As simple as out there, and small business plan still. But it allows you to offer that one. And the great thing about that one is, I think the max is that you're just that you're really have to do. Again, the max is like 3% of wages. So that one can make a lot of sense. You can put that in somebody's benefit package and everything out there. So solo 401ks, again, it's only for anyone who has their own company, no full-time employees. But you got to remember too, I think people forget about this one, not just in solo Ks, but in any plan out there, is make sure that you've got the earned taxable wages. Just passive income, just saying that something is stated. Dividends, that's not going to allow you to make the contributions. We're not going to know the difference, but the IRS and your CPA may. So you want to make sure that that's all squared away. And if you don't have that set up, your CPA will be able to say, okay, look, maybe set up if you've got 100 rental properties or something, set up the management portion of that. Let that be really your W-2 way that you're able to put in your contributions. Now you're making the pool of money. The contributions come in, allow you to put that money into the account, and then that allows you to move forward to make your investments.
Yeah, such important to have that money professional talking with you and reviewing, because everybody's
Mhm.
different. Obviously, everybody's different. What you rank
Absolutely.
for, what you qualify for. Definitely talk with your tax and attorney and all your professional team. And that's the great thing too, is being able to, because we've been with folks like, hey, it's hard to get somebody on the phone knows the heck they're talking about, to explain the different options and being able to install it. And that's what's so great about being able to get you guys on the phone. Hey, you can
Yeah.
talk with, have a team call, go through, hey, here's what we're setting up, here's what we need to do. What do we need to put in place to make this the most effective way for us as investors or entrepreneurs out there, right, Kyle?
Absolutely. I tell folks all the time, hey, look, I know that it's going to be tough enough for you to get your CPA on the phone. And that may actually be, anytime between now and, I mean, heck, even after April 15th. But you're obviously going to have some questions, or even they're going to have some questions. Not every CPA will really understand self-direction. And that's also another thing I say is that, look, hey, find an attorney, find a CPA who really does understand the nuances of self-direction, because it is different. Okay. Though it seems new and might feel like a fad to some people, it's been around since 1974 at the emergence of ERISA, right? So we've been doing, we've met. And so I tell folks, hey, look, if you're with your pro, if you're with your financial advisor who is begging you not to take a quarter of the portfolio that he's managing or she's managing, but you want to do this type of investing anyway, let's all get on the phone. I will totally educate everybody on why it makes sense for all of us to have the mutual client. Client's going to do what they want to do anyway.
Yep.
And I would rather them go to somebody who, again, has the education, their knowledge at hand than just the closing for a one more account. Okay. I mean, that's really the importance here, is that people feel comfortable with the phone call they've had, their initial phone call, the second or third they've had. And then they're going to notice that it's going to transcend not just from the sales team, but throughout their experience with the entire company.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that is great about that putting everybody together is obviously it's being able to unify that path, that direction that you want to go, and being able to have everybody on the same marching orders. Hey, what we're doing with this versus trying to figure out. Because a lot of times we've seen people where, hey, one team member is suggesting this and this contradicts what another person is saying. If you get the two together, the minds together, oh, okay, this makes sense. So we'll adjust it that route. That's the beauty of being able to talk to somebody there directly who knows the heck they're talking about. Now let's talk a little bit about folks that are leaving that job. Their goal is they're maybe looking at retiring. They're looking to do a rollover or rolling the money into the accounts. That's something that you guys do a lot of as well for folks out there, right?
Absolutely. The question that we will get a lot is, okay, so how does my money go from my 401k that I haven't touched in 4 years to into this investment that I'm trying to make with Scott? Like, okay, well, no, let's break this down. And I tell folks, don't do what I did when I was learning this business from the ground up and learning every single department of how things went. My CEO used to pick on me when he was like, "This is how a graduate student reads a self-directed IRA book." He was like, "Look at these notes and the margins and everything," and it used to embarrass the heck out of me. Don't overthink it to the point that it can scare you away. Okay. Self-directed IRAs, like I said, they're not for everyone, but don't let the things that we're going to be there to walk you through so that you understand it. You're not going to do this by yourself. There's things that the decisions you have to make are yours. We can't tell you what account to pull from, how much to bring over to us. We're not going to steer you on that. We can't. Okay. But you're not going to be alone in how this is going to work. And here's how it goes. Kyle, I got a 401k from a company I separated from there 4 years ago. Or, hey, Kyle, I've got two or three of these 401ks. All right. One thing I tell folks, okay, who holds that 401k or all of those 401ks? In each of those 401ks, do you know if all your funds are all traditional funds in there? Were there a smattering of Roth dollars as well? A little bit of both? Or you don't know? Or at this point, you don't care? And so, because you'll find that this morning, great guy on the phone, had just retired young from a very prominent company, and he said, "But I'm new to all this. I don't know." And he was apologizing. He didn't know what I was like, "Hey, look, that's what we're here for." But it is good to know who's holding your funds and what kind are they. Okay, because now that lets me know, okay, do you need a self-directed traditional, or do you need a self-directed Roth? Or if you think that you need to combine those, then you need a little bit of both. And the great thing is that some folks think, oh God, I don't want to have all these separate accounts. I got an IRA over here, I've got this other IRA over here, and I've got these two 401ks, and they're predominantly traditional funds. Well, the great thing is every single one of those can consolidate into one self-directed IRA. I'm not going to sell you four different accounts. I'm going to put you into one vehicle. All right, there's the car sales coming up. I'm going to put you into this one it's going to be your platinum, though. It's going to be your top of the line. Because it's going to allow you to put all of those accounts into one to invest in all of the same asset classes you'd want to do either with the Coverdell, the HSA, the SEP, the Simple, the Roth, or the traditional. Okay, so that's going to be a rollover coming from the 401k plans. All right, it's unlike I call it the four plans: a 401k, a 457, a 403b. If you're military, we thank you for your service, and you're going to have a TSP. Okay. Sometimes people will come to us with a PSP, the profit sharing plan. All of that can roll into your self-directed IRA or your self-directed Roth. Now, if you've already got an IRA with a provider, a lot of people will say, well, I've got a rollover IRA. Well, you've got a traditional IRA. Okay, it's really what you've got. All right. So that lingo, that terminology, we kind of smooth that out for folks. They'll say, hey, I've got this IRA and I need to do a rollover. Well, you can do a rollover, but you can also only do one rollover every 365 days, or you're going to get in trouble with the IRS. Okay. So if you ever have the chance to do a transfer, but you do a rollover, then you've burned your rollover. So if it's going to go from like to like, IRA to IRA, Roth to Roth, SEP to SEP, SEP to traditional, okay, since that's an IRA plan, then that's going to be a transfer. And it is going to be as easy as you filling out the application. And then the second step after the application has been completed and your account is established, our staff's going to get the respective paperwork to you, whether it's going to be the rollover or the transfer. If it's a rollover, your outbound custodian is going to be the one that's going to initiate the movement of those funds. They're going to wire that or send in a check, however you tell them you want that to come to us. If it's a
I
transfer,
have to ask you a question about that real fast, sir. What do you
sure.
see as time frame on that transfer? I've seen some
Yeah.
banks and some lenders take 6 weeks to send a physical check via Pony Express, and some others have done it a lot faster with a wire transfer. What do
It's
you
actually
see?
carrier. It's actually carrier pigeon in
There
the
you
pigeons in
go.
the shop. Yeah, yeah. And then they let us know by smoke signals. It's like what I didn't bring my blanket in today, but it's my matches won't work. So really, it's a good question. Rollovers are actually going to be quicker. Those are faster because really that administrator, they maybe you're separated from the company. They don't care. They're just like, hey, what are the wiring instructions? What's your new account number? What's the company name, the address? Boom, and that's going. And if they wire that, I mean, we can have that in a few days. Okay. Now, I think after COVID too, things really slowed down, but I've seen it pick back up a little bit more. You're right though, on a transfer. I heard a horror story of a guy talking about 2 months. I'm like, 2 months. Generally, what I'm going to see on a transfer, when I say I mean our
Right,
processing
team.
team.
Yep.
Yeah, but generally, I tell folks this: look, if you're doing a transfer from the Fidelities, from the Merrills, the Morgan Stanleys, or whatever, and it's going from IRA to IRA, plan on 2.5 to 3.5 weeks. Hey, if it takes 4, it's probably going to be the outlier. I don't see it taking that long. Um, hey, but if it happens in 2 weeks, great. Everybody's high fiving and you're able to move forward. What's really cool that we do at American IRA, not only we're going to process your paperwork, but maybe if you're in the middle of or wanting to start a note deal or you want to start a real estate deal or something like that. Okay, well, obviously you're not going to have the funds there yet to make the investment for us to move the money, but we're going to go ahead and work with you to actually knock the paperwork out in tandem while you're waiting on that. It helps speed up that process. From the time, let's imagine that this is basically a phone call, because this is really what my phone calls sound like, right? People asking me these questions. If we're having this phone call and somebody is actually, hey, Kyle, we're going out this weekend, we think that we're going to ink the deal on this. Well, be careful on how you ink it, because it's got to be nuanced vested in the name of your retirement account, not you personally. Don't hand somebody $500 in cash or a cashier's check of your own. You can't use your money. It's got to come from the retirement account, right? So I always tell folks, get the application in first, get that account established, even get it, partially funded if you need to. And then when you get ready to do the deal, then you can really get the skin in the game the correct way. But from imagining that this is a phone call, I tell folks, hey, look, the way that I see timing go, my knowledge and how long something can take in the real estate days, transactions from back in the day, plan on at least 30 days. We're coming off of 3 back-to-back holidays, maybe 35 to 40. Okay. Anybody can make a mistake, somewhere in that paperwork. If it's not perfect on our end, we will return that. And then the clock starts over. Okay. 4-day turnaround time though, with us. So we get it in, both getting it in, getting everything through compliance and getting your money moved, should be about a 4-day turn on that, but still plan for about anywhere from 30 to 40 days, and you should be okay on that.
Well,
And
that's why I wanted to bring.
that's opening the account and getting it funded and doing your investment and getting the investment funded. So we can generally work on that pretty well.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up. It's definitely, don't wait till the last minute trying to set this up. It takes 30. I've seen as far as 6 months before from one fund who drug their feet.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just it's a nightmare for the investor to get it done, but he was glad to be done with Wells Fargo. Oh, I'm sorry, that company they was doing with.
Hey,
But
really quick, I'll tell you this: when it does come to those companies like that, there are certain companies out there, and they're going to make you get what's called a medallion stamp or medallion guarantee
yeah,
stamp. That I'm going to go ahead and tell you that is not an American IRA thing. We're going to have it on our form because if you're with one of those companies, they're going to make you do it. So we at least give you the heads up on it. It's kind of a pain to get, from what I understand, but it's just what they're going to require. And I'll go ahead and apologize from our end, even though it's not us. But yeah, that can slow. I think sometimes they kind of, or they'll say, "Oh, you can't move that money in there." Yeah, it's their money. They can really do whatever they want to with it. They can't touch it a certain way because it's retirement funds. But yeah, so let the folks have their funds and let it roll over to us.
yeah. When you have the Chases, the Bank of America, the Wells Fargo, the Citibanks, that's I've seen, as an ex-banker for Chase and Bank One, we'd have people come in, have to get the dang medallion stamp out of the
Yeah, yeah.
freaking safe to get it done. And yeah, I'm like, this is just it's just stupid. It's just a way to drag their feet to get stuff
Uh,
done.
uh,
Get some more of that money sitting in an escrow in an account making interest on it for the most part. But anyway, uh, let's talk about if somebody's looking out there, because we got a lot of folks that are starting off there.
mhm.
What's the amount that they need to start to start off a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA to get the thing rocking and rolling, and something they can put into on a monthly or annual basis?
Yeah, so you already saw when we were talking about the contribution limits. If somebody is, fresh, whether they've never had something before, uh, love the gumption of the folks that are right out of college, they got their first job and they want to start putting something together. I mean, $7,000 and $8,000 isn't going to get you a house. Okay,
Right.
$7,000 and $8,000 isn't going to get you in a lot of places because I mean it's not really going to be $7,000 or $8,000. Our minimum cash balance that we at least have to hold in the account at all times is 750, 1,500 in a self direct or in a solo 401k, and then you've got your annual fee. So you're going to have about maybe $5,000 to play with if you're under 49 or under. So most of our clients are either a diversifying from or moving over that entire 401k portfolio, or they have an existing account where they're diversifying out of that. Now, of course, having an amount that you can do an all cash deal, great. We're not going to talk about those folks because that's already the no brainer. What I do get is, well, what do I do if I've only got a $50,000 account? Well, okay, you got to be a little bit more creative in what you can do. I mean, hey, is there a note that you can do for 20? Is there a note that you can do for 25? Do one, let that pay back in, and I don't know what your guys' turn times are, but if that comes in 2, 3, 4, 6 months, okay, boom, do another one. You've grown that account a little bit because remember it's in a non-interest bearing trust account, and that's why depending on what you're doing, you're going to have set numbers on everything. But if somebody just wants to do they got 50 grand, they want to do a $40,000 loan to their neighbor down the street who wants to put in a really nice bathroom or something. Hey, look, those rates and terms and everything are, you're having a meeting of the minds with the neighbor, right? you know if it's more than what the bank will charge, but they'd rather pay you instead of the bank, then by all means, that you just made something on a 4 or 5 or 6 month turn, or full balloon at the end, whatever it's going to be. And so keep those things in mind. Even we've seen a lot of clients that will even build in the fees to American IRA into the note and just call it points, and everybody moves on with their lives, right?
Yep.
So there's that. Wholesaling deals, a lot of things you'll see folks get in for just on the paper. What's that going to cost you? A couple of digits, $100, $500. You turn a 5-figure profit though, then see, now you're going, oh, wait a minute. You do 2 or 3 of those a year. Well, now your IRA is a different ball game.
That's
And
correct.
really quick, somebody will say, hey, because this question will come up. Well, Kyle, wait a minute. If I can only put 7 grand in, and I've already done that, and now I've got a $12,000 profit, that's 19 grand. Well, what am I going to do? Well, your profits have nothing to do with your contributions. There's no ceiling on those profits. And then as you grow those and grow those, or as you partner your account with other folks, you get into syndication deals, joint ventures on certain things, partnering with other IRAs. Um, I'm not going to get into the weeds on this, but if you partner with disqualified parties, even being yourself, you can do that, but only at the time of acquisition. You can do those types of things to build your IRA. There's always things you can do, and we have time to talk about that with you if you want to go that route.
We'll have to do a different episode on some of the different ways to
Yeah,
partner
sure.
and
We
go
can
that
break that
route.
down.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
it's such a fun thing in being able to take $1,000 or $2,000 if you got a small balance, and taking 1,000 as like an escrow fee or an option fee on a property and flipping that paper and making 10 grand. I mean, it's one of my first deals I got excited about. We put a property here in Austin under contract. Luckily, unfortunately, it wasn't in my IRA, but an option for $100 and sold it for 75 grand. A week and a half later. That's a nice ROI. I think the return on that is called enough. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's so if somebody is, call it their, they're getting a late jump, but they're 50 and they've got a $7,500 IRA or a $800 or $8,000 IRA. I mean, they just basically grew that 10 times in one
Mm-hmm.
deal. And if you do
Yeah.
that 2 or 3 times, I mean, it's amazing the people who have gotten very successful and grown those in a short amount of time doing that exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we could sit here and talk. We're gonna have to have you back on. Is that all right again, Kyle? At a
I
later
will.
date?
I'll be back I'll be back anytime you need, man. Because there's so many avenues. You're right. We can really start getting into the niches of this, of what people, and hey, we take on some questions and we see what folks want us to talk about, and we'll chop it up next time.
Sounds good. Therefore, what is the best way though for those that are wanting to get rocking and rolling, to get started, reach out to you to do a rollover, or start putting their plans in place to start opening their American IRA accounts? What's the best way for them to reach a hold of you, Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you guys my direct number. It's going to come to this guy right here. I'm the
Very
business
nice.
development manager of the company, and you get to talk to me. And it is 828-412-8123. That is my direct line. And I'm sure that Scott will get that out to everybody if you didn't write that down. And then my email, you can email me directly at Kyle, Kyle, at AmericanIRA.com. And I'm never too busy for your referrals. We're East Coast over here. If it's tomorrow when I can get back to you, or if it's after the weekend, yeah, that's when we'll get back to you. But I'm always going to make time for you to help you out.
Yeah, we'll definitely put the contact info in the chat roll in the description there for you guys to take advantage of that. And that way you can get rock and rolling. But Kyle, thank you so much for coming on and spend some time with us here and sharing some great stuff. We look forward to having you on in the future and helping our note closers out there go close some more deals and make some good returns in their retirement accounts. How's that sound?
Absolutely, man. Sounds good. And between now and then, I'll be watching the game tomorrow night, and yeah, I might just have to show up on the next one in some of my game gear. I'm a big time Redskins fan, man. So if you're a Cowboys fan,
Commanders,
sorry, but
commanders, you know what I mean? I mean,
yeah,
that's,
can't
you
can't
know,
do it, can't do it.
I
But
know, but they're talking about bringing that back, aren't they? I think they're trying to bring it back.
They're luckily now of all things that Congress should be doing. One of the last second things that they did before they went out on the Christmas holidays is that there was that bill where Washington is at least going to be able to now do something with the old RFK Stadium.
Right.
There's that. Do I ever think the name is going to come back? I mean, let's be honest. I don't think the name will. I would love for the logo to come back.
Yeah.
That was Chief Whitecalf, man. I mean, and they're pretty particular about that. I mean, I think you may see a name change because this one's terrible. I didn't like the way they undid this one, but since the day I was born in 1974, my dad left the hospital and he got me my first Redskins outfit. I told folks I've got everything of memorabilia. I look around my office right now and it's all around me, but I tell folks, don't buy me a Washington football team anything. Don't buy me a Commanders or that stupid looking W thing. Sorry if there's any of the ownership that's on here. it's just it's heritage, man. I mean, it's my history and everything, and but I'm just glad that we won 12 games instead of 4 like last season, and we're in the wild card playoffs. So hopefully we have a good show on
And
Sunday night.
probably gonna have the rookie of the year as well too.
Love
Definitely.
him, man. He's a good kid. Good kid.
Yeah, he is definitely. Definitely a good kid out there, good head on shoulders. So definitely get some magic back in the Washington NFL, which is good. To definitely need it. So, all right, buddy. Well, hey, Kyle, have a great day. Thank you for joining us.
Amen.
Everybody, go out there, connect with Kyle, shoot him an email, shoot him a text. We'll put all that stuff in there. Get your accounts open. If you're wanting to do more in 2025, that's the first thing you do. Take $1,000, open an account. Let's get that rock and roll and put some money into it on a monthly basis. If you put 1,000 in to begin with, you could put in $500 a month on average there and max out your account at 7,000 for the full year there for you. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's claim your retirement yourself, because guess what, everybody? Nobody else is watching out for you. You need to take control of your investments, of your retirement, and go out and make it a great day. If you do that, I guarantee we'll see